Recently, I've heard people say that if a quad can run very high PID values, it actually means the power system is weak. But honestly, that's not really true, and I can give a few examples that prove the opposite. For example, this 5-inch freestyle quad uses P2 for all 6 motors with 2060 kV, paired with low-pitch props. The power is extremely strong, and the top speed can even reach close to 200 km per hour. But even on a setup like this, I can push the PID master multiplier all the way to 2.0, and each value can still go another 20 points higher. I've shown this before in our tuning videos, especially the 5-inch freestyle series. I pushed the master multiplier to 2.0 and kept increasing it for an extremely sharp response and very strong attitude lock, so the motors on these quads are definitely not weak. The reason they can handle such high PID values is mainly because the center of gravity is very well balanced. Freestyle frames are naturally easier to tune, and the frame rigidity is also very solid. Every bit of motor output transfers to the quad's movement with very little delay. Even the ESC settings can be pushed aggressively. For example, I'll raise startup power above 100. That gives you even lower latency and a much more immediate response. Combined with the flight controller's throttle commands, thrust changes happen with extremely low delay, and torque stays very strong. All of these factors together raise the PID ceiling of the quad. So when people say a powerful quad can handle high PID values, the real reason is usually something else. For example, a typical 5-inch racing quad layout is actually not very tuning friendly. Once you raise the PID too much, you'll often get low-frequency oscillation around 50 Hz. A lot of non-racing pilots have probably seen this before. Personally, I think that's because racing quads don't have as ideal a center of gravity as freestyle quads. On racing quads, the battery is mounted underneath, while the prop line center sits much higher. So the actual center of gravity ends up much lower than the prop plane center. During full throttle turns or prop wash situations, every bit of drag generated by the props creates extra torque around that lower center of gravity. But on a freestyle quad, even during prop wash or aggressive maneuvers, the prop line doesn't create nearly as much torque relative to the quad's center of gravity. That's because the distance between the prop force center and the center of gravity is much smaller. If you guys are interested, I can also do some deeper testing on this. For example, moving the racing quad battery to the top and seeing whether the PID can be pushed higher, or testing whether the low-frequency oscillation disappear on PID settings that were unstable before. If you'd like to see that test, I can make a full video about it. And if you still have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments.